Hey everyone. So your collective message for today is the Seven of Swords. I'm using the Anime Tarot deck. So, Seven of Swords. First question I've got to ask is are you being honest with yourself? This card speaks of deceit. That's the traditional meaning can be deceitful, but it can have other meanings as well. I mean, as you know, swords are about thoughts and communication, so in most cases, someone's either lying to you, and either it's an innocent, like a little white lie, or they could be lying to you or just not being forthcoming with the truth, which is, they're not lying to you, but they're not being honest either. In other ways, it could also be you lying to yourself. You know, we tell ourselves lies sometimes because we don't want to deal with the truth. We don't want to deal with our feelings whenever things are going rough. And I get with this, you know, this guy's stealing these swords and he's trying to sneak off. You got these two swords planted firmly back here. It's like, you're going to have to face it. You're going to have to go in this tent, okay? He needs to go in there, but he's running away from his problems. Some people run away from the truth. One of the hardest things to do is shadow work. And that includes facing ourselves. Self-reflection. Can you look at yourself in the mirror? You know, can you be honest with yourself? Like, you know, do you ever look and say, why am I like this? Or, you know, what do I need to work on about myself? It's easy to blame other people, but sometimes when the common denominator in all of your failed friendships, relationships, you know, family fights, if the common denominator is you, what does that tell you? I'm not saying that you're fully wrong, but at the same time, if you seem to fight with everybody else and you seem to tick them all off, you lose friendships and people don't want to be around you, you're the common denominator. That means there's something, you're making a mistake that is part of the problem. And you've got to correct that so that when it comes around again, if you know how to communicate correctly, then things might turn out differently. And if they don't, it's not your fault this time. Because if you can approach things the right way, either it's going to work out or that other person might be the one projecting. But how are you going to know if you're both projecting or if you're both, you know, lying to yourselves or lying to each other? And I say this in not a romantic way, that could be platonic, however, this is for anybody and everybody. I mean, it could be people like clashing at work, clashing at home, it doesn't really matter. Friends fight and people fight, and then it's like sometimes assumptions are made and you're accusing people of doing things that they're doing nothing wrong. Sometimes you're lying to yourself because you're telling yourself that this person did something that they didn't do. All signs might point that way, but one, you need to consider, okay, is there a third party involved? Is there somebody playing you against each other? Because I don't know what it is, but especially when two people are really close and they have a really strong foundation, you know, a really strong friendship, like two peas in a pod, there's always those people out there that want to break it up. They just want to see people miserable. They want to mess with people and see them upset and see them hurt. And they will sit there and manipulate and play people against each other. That is one way of looking at it. And another is self-sabotage. We do it to ourselves. Sometimes it's one-sided, sometimes it's both people. It just depends on what you've been through in your life. So in this case, I feel like, you know, you're lying to yourself. You're trying to tell yourself that it's this person's fault. You're trying to put all the blame on the other person, but guess what? You can't do that. It's not their fault. This person has tried to be themselves with you. They've tried to be their authentic self. They've tried to be there to love you, to support you, to communicate with you. Has it been perfect? No. Have they made mistakes? Yeah, sure. We all do. Perfect souls, imperfect humans. That's how it works, right? So please keep that in mind, because you are the common denominator. You are the one that you've got to work on yourself. That person has done some work. That person was trying to approach it in a healthy way. You did not take it that way. And I think that when that person tried to approach it from like a healthy way of communicating, like mentally and emotionally, maybe even spiritually, who knows? You know, if you aren't comfortable with it and you're not comfortable with facing some aspects of yourself or facing what you're feeling or what you're going through, then it's easier to blame them and to just, you know, block them and walk out of their life. You were wrong. Now, for those of you watching, either you were wrong or they were wrong, either way. But it, you know, trust your instinct. Depends. Which one of you walked away? Who got blocked? Because whoever got blocked is not the one that's wrong in this case, you know, necessarily. Now, for a small portion of you, it all depends on the situation. If you've got undeniable proof of someone lying to you or betraying you, and you feel like you're one of those people that's like, no, trust is number one and it's got to stay that way, great. But, you know, if people just tell you something, why not? If you're best friends with somebody, go to them and ask, did you say something? You know, like, okay, if they're honest with you, fine, let it go. But, you know, if, like, letting someone else tell you how to feel and tell you something and you taking it out of context, that's on you. Now, and I'm getting on this because I've had this happen so many times, like, in life. Now, is the common denominator me? Possibly. There's several times that it would have been. These days, not as much. I've made my share of mistakes. But I have been working really, really hard these several years now to, you know, get through therapy and to be a better communicator, you know, and to really think about what I want to say and how I want to approach and, you know, not come from a place of reaction with emotions. It's very hard to do for those of us that are very emotional. You know, I'm an emotional Leo. It's going to happen. And, you know, if I get involved with other people that are also emotional, and I get more emotional when I'm very much, like, tight with somebody, because I don't want to lose people. You know, when I love people, I love them. If you make a mistake, that's why people can't trust anybody these days. You can't have friends, you can't have relationships, you can't have anything, because nobody will trust anymore. And that's no way to live. Time on Earth is short, and guess what? The Earth is speeding up, people. So we're getting less time now. The days are getting shorter. You know, life is short and then you die. So what are you going to do with your time? And sure, you might get to incarnate and come back, but right now you're here as you. Your personality, your person, your family, your friends. This is your life, and you only get one. Because the next time you come back, you're someone else, and you get a whole new slew of people, friends, family, everything. You're going to be a whole different person, different personality and everything. So you get this one life to be this one person right here, right now. How are you going to deal with it? Hang on to the people who love you and support you. Learn to listen to each other. Learn to communicate. Learn to forgive mistakes. And just know that most people that love you are trying their best to just, you know, we react out of emotions and things sometimes because we don't want to lose people or we're upset about something. Learn to talk, you know, and learn to talk. Don't lie to yourself anymore. It's time for you to turn around and face that person, face that problem, whatever it is, or they need to do that with you. And I get the feeling that for some of you, they're going to. They're going to come around. Some of you are getting an apology. Some of you may not get closure at all. Who knows? But whatever it is, learn to forgive yourself and learn to make your own closure, because nothing is guaranteed, okay? Good luck, everybody.